Tour was born. We started with 2 drivers, 2 guides, and 1 ticket seller working out of a trailer on Lankershim Boulevard. From there, the studio tour expanded with fantastic one-of-a-kind Hollywood elements like the Burning House and Rock Slide, which were in this area of the lot back in the 1970s and 80s. We thought by now we might have hover trams, but these are pretty cool too. You're on board our newest version of the tour vehicle, the electric tram, as we continue our commitment to creating a zero-emission studio tour fleet. Electric trams get their power from wireless inductive charging pads, just like the one for your cell phone, only much larger. And like an electric car, we have regenerative braking. That means every time we go downhill during this tour, like we are now, we will be building a charge. We're no strangers to innovation when it comes to our tour vehicles. We started with the Glamour trams in 1964, and in 1983 we upgraded to Super trams, allowing us to carry more guests and experience more thrills. In the year 2000, we added onboard video, turning the tram into a movie theater on wheels. So let's see where the studio tour will take us today. Because here at Universal Studios, we are the only major studio in Hollywood that can say we are a theme park and a movie studio at the same identical time on the same property. On the right is Jurassic World The Ride, and on the left is Soundstage number 12, which was used to make Jurassic Park the movie. And make sure you check out Jurassic World 4, which will be released in theaters in July of next year, 2025. We'll start by heading into the front lot where we're driving in between the studio and the theme park. Over there on your right is Super Nintendo World, our newest theme park attraction. However, in this area during the 60s and 70s, guests could get off the tram to visit the dressing room of comedy legend Lucille Ball or step into the office of Oscar-winning costume designer Edith Head, giving them the chance to explore facets of Hollywood not previously accessible to the public before 1964. By the 1980s, this was the home to the movie center, a popular stop in the tour that included the special effects stage. And speaking of stages,
for the studio backlot tour of Universal Studios 60th anniversary tram tour. So sit back and enjoy.
To tell us more about these buildings are our next 60th anniversary guests from the Peacock series Bel Air, Jordan Banks and Ollie Charlatan.
We're leaving the theme park behind and entering the front lot where real Hollywood magic is made. How? Well, inside the sound stages that surrounds us, we create any kind of environment experience.
For the past 60 years, studio tour visitors have driven right by these buildings, and inside these walls, the sets for your favorite TV shows and movies have transported audiences anywhere the imagination can take them, even to a palatial mansion in Bel Air.
When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who
Or what?
you'll see on the studio tour.
And that's because so much filming takes place out here on the studio lot. Soundstage 14 on the left was used by director Ron Howard to make the movie Apollo 13. Soundstage 15 on the right has been used in the past to film the game show Family Feud, hosted by Steve Harvey. Our sound stages have been used to make a variety of classic television shows over the years like these. Soundstage 18, coming up on the right side of the tram, has been used to film the game show Password, hosted by Keke Palmer and Jimmy Fallon, and that building is right next door to Soundstage 19, which was used in the making of the movie Oppenheimer, the 11th film to win Best Movie Oscar for us here at Universal Studios. The same studio that brought you the movie Ted. And the same studio that this November will be bringing you the movie Wicked, starring Jeff Goldblum, Cynthia Erivo, and Ariana Grande. Beyond the sound stages are these small bungalows. Here's Chris Melinandri to tell you all about them.
In the early days of the studio, these bungalows were used as dressing rooms to the stars of Hollywood's golden age. Now, they're used as offices where some of Hollywood's top directors, writers, and producers work their magic to get a production ready, including my company, Illumination. At Illumination, we've made some of the most successful animated films in box office history, including Despicable Me, The Lorax, Secret Life of Pets, Minions, Sing, The Grinch, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. And the team is hard at work again as we launch our next film, Despicable Me 4.
You know you love your dada. What's it?
We've had some really good sequences in Despicable Me movies. The heist of the Honey Badger is now officially my favorite. What it comes down to is the emotional through line, and I believe that that's why these movies have stayed in people's hearts.
But that's it for the front lot because
We're about to cross the imaginary boundary onto the back lot, but we have exterior set for many others. Over the last 60 years, studio tour guests have seen these locations turned into big cities, quiet suburbs, even that guy's hometown.
look at that.
Yeah, that guy. For countless movies and TV shows. This is Universal's Metro Sets.
we're in this structure coming up on the right side of the tram that looks like an office building will be used to film an upcoming sitcom that hasn't aired yet called St. Dennis Medical. And speaking of things that will occur in the future,
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley in the Back to the Future films.
And it represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, and the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. Only we had a time machine.
Everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour? See you in the future.
Oh, what is? Oh,
right now we are entering
Look.
Hill Valley from the Back to the Future film starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, and Leah Thompson. This is Courthouse Square, and there's the Brown! We shouldn't disturb the space-time continuum for too long, so let's say goodbye to Doc Brown. For now, Courthouse Square still has many facades that were built in the 1940s. The rest of our Metro sets are considerably newer, redesigned, and rebuilt in 2008. Before that, this area used to be home to a studio tour classic. Here's one of the stars of Universal's 2005 version of King Kong, Jack Black, to tell you all about it.
Hands up action. Did you know the Metro sets were once the home to Hollywood's biggest star? Right here is where the original studio tour King Kong attraction resided from 1986 until 2008.
Wow.
He stood 30 feet tall and weighed in at 13,000 pounds. Over the years, millions of guests got to meet King Kong face to face as he shook the tram so close you could feel his hot banana breath. Is that it? I believe that's my last line, and then the tram moves on to the next thing.
Yes, Jack, we've got to get these guests to Skull Island. But first, get your cameras ready for some studio tour history. Coming up at the top of the hill on the right side of the tram are two studio tour classics, the runaway train and the collapsing bridge. The collapsing bridge was a mechanical effect that the trams used to cross. The hydraulic support beams would split and the bridge would seem to collapse. The runaway train was originally located in our western sets. It used to hurtle towards the tram and come to a screeching halt. Both of those attractions that you can see over there on the left side of the tram are retired effects made ago, we no longer use those attractions on the tour because today's tour features King Kong 360 3D.
Hey, put your.
It's the original King Kong.
It's rainbow.
I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up into the Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from prehistoric times. I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Star Island. It was great to have a real ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Star Island.
Not only are we about to return, what a ride!
Yeah.
Really put a lot of thought into the character and personality. He's so much more than a monster.
Hey, take your sunglasses off
You know, he is
and put the other glasses on.
majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature.
Yeah, baby, don't do that.
He's bold, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart.
Just wait.
Feature of Kong's eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderful, expressive, they're full of emotion. His eyes are the beginning of his personality and his heart. In his head, the enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rex and some various dinosaurs and stuff. So he's beaten up, scarred, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times. And he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
The only thing the driver and I ask is that you please remain seated during the entire attraction and hold on to all of your personal belongings. Because, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
welcome.
Hold on to mommy if you need, okay? Don't grab me. Hold on to him, Mom. Ready to see some dinosaurs? No. It's just a video, baby.
3D glasses on, everybody.
Look. Oh, damn. That was a bit much. King Kong! I got dinosaur spit on me. They're all right, baby. God, is he okay? What? Okay, hold on. Allison. Is he good?
So much fun.
Right?
And here's how we did that. The movie you just watched, that was created by Academy Award-winning director Peter Jackson, along with help from the team at Weta Digital.
That was crazy, huh?
Recognize that name on your monitors, Weta Digital? Guess who they are? Those are the same people who helped make the movie Avatar. And then our tram was sitting on what's called a gimbal. That's what allowed us to move and sway back and forth simultaneously with the action of the film. And while we sat in the middle on that gimbal, we were inside of that building looking at screens that stand over 40 feet tall and are over 180 feet long. King Kong 360 3D, one of the largest, most intense 3D experiences in the world. Now, because here at
Did you like that?
Universal Studios, we are the ones that practically invented the monster movie genre. It's one of the reasons that we love putting on our annual Halloween Horror Night events. We are the studio that brought you films like Dracula, The Mummy, The Wolfman, and Frankenstein.
And figures all different monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, Hunchback.
Frankenstein? Baby, it's okay. It's just makeup.
There's no life left.
It's just makeup.
There was Karloff, Long Tree, Mummy was really scary. They're still waiting on memories now.
And this beautiful mural that we're driving past on the right side of the tram was painted for us by an artist named Tristan Eaton, who is a big fan of our monster movies. Soundstage 30 on the left side of the tram, as you can see from the insignia on the building with that V, that is where they filmed the music talent competition show, The Voice. This body of water on the left side of the tram is what we call the Hollywood Ocean. It is over there on the left side of the tram that we added the parting of the Red Sea to the studio tour inspired by the classic film The Ten Commandments, a Paramount picture. The star of the movie, Charlton Heston, made an appearance to part the water for our guests. The glamour tram seemed to drive right through the lake and give everyone on board a sea-level view.
Tell them they can walk on water on the tour.
Our Hollywood Ocean was also used to make a film that in 2024 is celebrating its 70th anniversary. I'm talking about the 3D classic film, Creature from the Black Lagoon. That movie is part of our legacy of horror films and monster movies that stretches from Dracula in 1931 to the upcoming Dark Universe and Universal Epic Universe opening next year in Orlando, which will be an area devoted to Universal's classic monsters, many of whom live in this area we're about to show you next that we call Little Europe. This is where we practically invented the monster movie genre, because this is where Universal Studios made The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Wolfman, The Mummy, Frankenstein, and Dracula. This is also where we made the television show The Good Place.
There you go.
I've never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Ta-da! That building on your monitors, there it is in person, directly in front of us. That show starred Ted Danson, Kristen Bell, and all the episodes for all of the seasons were filmed right here on the Universal Studios backlot.
It's going to a bad place.
know, whenever Universal Studios makes a new movie or a television show, they don't build a new set for each new production. In fact, they never build a new set, and I'll tell you why. It's Universal Studios' hope and belief that when you and I are watching something, they hope that we're so busy following the story. Come on now. Who in the world is paying attention to the buildings in the background? So they simply reuse the same sets they already have over and over and over again. The driver and I just finished showing you how the sets on the right side of the tram were used to make The Good Place. Well, how crazy is this? 8 decades earlier, those same sets were used to make the movie Frankenstein.
Hey, we've got another. So, you need to watch out.
Because there isn't one single person on the planet that ever watched an episode of The Good Place and said, "Hey, yo, wait a minute. Ain't that where Frankenstein used to live?" It never happens.
I don't know.
Now, in that first Frankenstein movie, Frankenstein has no dialogue.
why don't you
He
take
walks through the entire film doing this. He says not one word for over an hour, yet everybody on the tram knows his name. So we're going to try that out on today's tour. I'm not going to say anything for the rest of the tour. Let's see if you remember my name at the end. Oh, am I kidding? No, I kid. I have to keep talking because our tour is now approximately at the halfway mark. So I just want to remind everyone that the studio you're touring, it is private property. So at any time during the rest of the tour, you drop your phone or you just can't wait to use the restroom, all you have to do is reach up overhead, pull on that red cord. Doing so will send an alert to our driver on his console so he can stop the vehicle immediately and I can get off and provide any assistance you may need. But we do ask that you remain seated during the entire tour as we prepare to take you all inside of a sound stage. Because in front of us is Soundstage 50. Now you may know that last year we closed the earthquake attraction that stood on this part of the lot for decades. That's because we've made way for this new, unrivaled, state-of-the-art soundstage that is already in high demand. And yes, there is filming going on inside right now. You can tell by that red wig-wag light on the outside of the soundstage. But we've made an arrangement with production to travel right through those elephant doors to see what happens inside of a stage.
They get rough again.
Now this particular building is what is known in the movie business as a hot set. Does anybody on the tram know why it's called a hot set? Because it's hot, like me. Oh yeah. No, basically, a prop is anything in a scene that an actor holds or touches. Now it can be as small as a paper clip to as big as a grand piano. That building off in the distance on the right side of the tram, that is our property department building, but get this, we have over 2 million props. So a hot set basically means that this sound stage is completely decorated, locked for picture, and they're just waiting for the director to yell action.
Oh, it's not a thing.
As our driver brings you into this sound stage, take a look at this. Soundstage number 50 has been decorated for a highly anticipated production. This building is actually Hollywood's only 2-level soundstage. Check out the detail. The first floor is decorated like a subway station. And you know what? This building was used to play a subway station in the Paramount movie Beverly Hills Cop 3 starring Eddie Murphy. Because even though we compete with other studios for your viewership, because... Whoa, guys. What was that? Anyway, because of... Whoa.
that just pretend?
Yeah, baby.
Oh my goodness! You all just survived earthquake, the big one! Give yourselves a round of applause! We made it! Woo! Oh my goodness! Now this attraction originally opened 35 years ago in 1989 and just reopened this spring for our 60th anniversary with a complete Hollywood makeover, updating all of the props and movie making equipment, bringing the set into the 21st century. Now the reason the driver and I take you inside of that building is so that when you leave our tour today, the next time you're watching a disaster movie, ta-da! Now you know how those movies get made in Hollywood. But from one disaster area to another, take a look at the sign. We're about to take you to the small town of Amity that was scared by the crazy dinner habits of that man-eating shark. But not to worry anyone, Mayor Vaughn has asked me to let you all know that these beaches are perfectly safe. Yeah. So what we're gonna... Whoa. What is that?
Oh, there's the shark.
What?
This one may get Allison. This one may get.
Uh-oh. I think we're gonna need a bigger tram. Say hello to Bruce, a replica of the mechanical shark used in the movie Jaws. This is one of the most successful
Grandpa, no thank you.
movies for Universal Studios, and this
Tell them.
year it will be celebrating its 50th anniversary. Now, before you took our tour today, did you know creating weather effects is very challenging for filmmakers? It's because most movies get made in warm, sunny Southern California, where you don't get too many changes in the weather. It's usually the same old boring sunshine, day in and day out. So in order to show you how we create weather for the movies, we are heading into a classic attraction located here on the back lot. To tell you more about it is today's show co-host and weather anchor, Mr. Al Roker.
Time for my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968.
This is how you can make a classic like Gene Kelly singing in the rain, even on a beautiful day like today when it isn't.
Welcome to the only part of the back lot with a 100% chance of rain.
We use overhead sprinklers hidden from the camera's view. And as everybody on the tram knows, in the state of California, if you get too much rain, you end up with this next weather effect.
The flash flood.
Watch out, car number 3. Good thing we're in car 1.
You see it over here? Oh!
And here's how what the driver and I showed you in person looked on the big screen.
Oh, it's flooding.
Yeah.
And that's how Hollywood made the movie Big Fat Liar. Now our awesome driver is about to show you all some of the oldest sets still standing on our property. Back in 1915, people would come to this area, sit on bleachers with their boxed chicken lunch that they had purchased for a nickel, and boo the bad guy or cheer the good guy, all while watching silent Western movies being made right in front of their very eyes. Some of the most famous movie cowboys of all times have made films right here on this street. People like Hoot Gibson, Audie Murphy, Jimmy Stewart, and the man who has an airport named after him, John Wayne, the Duke himself, boy. And while most of us on the tram know Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry, go ahead, make my day. Did you know he got his start in the movie business right where you're sitting today? Making Western movies for Universal Studios. And get this, back in the 1950s, we only paid Clint Eastwood $75 a week. I don't feel too bad for Clint Eastwood, y'all. He doing better now. Everybody has to start somewhere. Yeah. And as we leave the area, will you do me a favor and take a look at these beautiful sets on the right side of the tram? These are what are known in the movie business as facades. When Universal Studios does decide to build a set, did you know they will only build the front and the side of the structure? Because that's all the camera needs to see when the character is walking up and down the street, in and out of the doorways. When our driver makes this turn, do me a favor and take another look on the right side of the tram. Look at that. There's nothing behind them except a wall. Our sets are only used to film scenes that take place outdoors. Scenes that take place indoors are filmed where? Side of those sound stages. That's why we have 36 of them out here on our property. Now, as our driver prepares to take us right past the Jaws attraction that we all enjoyed a few moments ago, did you know Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, he's the one who helped bring Jaws to the studio tour. Here he is on your monitors to tell you more.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
Now, you may remember that the Lion Estates on the left side of the tram was where Marty McFly lived in the Back to the Future trilogy, living the home of tomorrow today. Those signs were made for the 30th anniversary of the first film and are replicas of the original props. One of the executive producers of Back to the Future was Steven Spielberg, and right now we are on Steven Spielberg Drive, which is appropriate because of our long relationship with the Academy Award-winning director. You could say it goes all the way back to the earliest days of the studio tour.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. It was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of the focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film blocks. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
So it is only fitting that at the end of Spielberg Drive and at the end of that story, we find one of the largest exterior sets from his hit film starring Tom Cruise. Welcome everybody to the crash site set from War of the Worlds. And in case anyone on the tram was wondering, the answer to your question is yes, ladies and gentlemen. That's a real airplane. Large-scale sets like this have been in this part of the studio lot for several decades. Before production destroyed this suburban neighborhood for the movie War of the Worlds, this was Site B for Jurassic Park 3, and prior to that, this area served as the whimsical Whoville for How the Grinch Stole Christmas. After every film, we always made sure to make room for the trams, allowing our guests a close-up look at these iconic sets, like the one directly in front of us coming up on the right. This particular set has been a highlight since the original 1964 studio tour, because that is the home of Norman Bates from Alfred Hitchcock's movie Psycho. And this is one of the most famous sets still standing in all of Hollywood. Now, for the first few decades of the studio tour, there was no theme park because it hadn't been built yet. You would buy your ticket on Lancashire Boulevard, come inside, take a 2-hour tour, and then go home. During that time, one of the hallmarks of the tour was a visit to Prop Plaza, where guests could disembark from the tram to take photos and interact with characters, vehicles, and props from their favorite productions. Well, guess what? As an homage to those earlier days of the tour, and in celebration of our 60th anniversary, we have decided to bring back that element on today's tour. When our driver gets the green light, he's going to pull forward to allow you to get off of the tram and take pictures in front of the actual Psycho house, the Bates Motel, Marion Crane's car, the original 1964 Glamour tram, the hanging shark from Jaws, cars from the Fast and Furious, and props from the past 60 years of entertainment history. But remember, folks, this is a limited stop. When you are ready to continue your tour, you will follow the signs to the pickup area where you will be boarding a different tram with a different tour guide. As a result, please take a moment to look around you and gather all of your personal belongings and your 3D glasses, which you will need when you resume the tour. Now, when you're out there, be sure to check out the Universal Cinematic AR filters. All you have to do is scan the QR codes found on the 60th anniversary signs for Jaws and King Kong. Have fun as you step off of the tram and onto the lot, because you're in Hollywood now. Looks like we have an emergency cord pool.